Dear Mrs. Nikmatuniaya, SAMSE AKT, as the lecturer of the Research Methodology course. Previously, let me introduce myself. My name is Sepkliyondha and you can call me Nancy. I am from class AK3D and here I will present my final project proposal with the title Analysis of the Effectiveness and Contribution of Land and Building Acquisition Fees or BPHTB to Regional Tax Revenue of Temanggung Regency. So today I'm gonna talk about it. This is the discussion outline. First of all, I will talk about the background of why I took the title and followed by the formulation of the problem, then the purpose and the benefits of me doing this research. I will also provide a little about some literature review so that there is a little picture of my title, so there is an expected to be better understood. Then I will also share what my research methodology is to analyze the title. So, the first background of my choosing the title is because the regional autonomy aims to provide regions with the opportunity to develop independently by utilizing local revenue sources, one of which is Regional Original Revenue or ROR. ROR includes regional taxes, regional retribution, income from the management of separated regional assets, and other legitimate sources. The central government supports this effort through regulatory changes, including Law No. 1 of 2022 on financial relations between the central government and regional government, which provides opportunity for regions to maximize the revenue, such as through the Land and Building Right Acquisition Fee or BPHTB. BPHTB is a tax on the acquisition of land and building rights, managed by the Regional Financial and Revenue Management Agency or BPKPD of Temanggung Regency. Analyzing the effectiveness and contribution of BPHTB to regional tax revenue is essential to identify potential increases, patterns of change, and factors influencing revenue. This study aims to evaluate the effectiveness of BPHTB and its contribution to regional tax revenue in Temanggung Regency, while providing solutions to mitigate risks of revenue decline. From this background, it can be concluded that there are three problem formulations. The first one is how effective is the BPHTB revenue collection in Temanggung Regency, and the second, what is the contribution of BPHTB to the total regional tax revenue in Temanggung Regency, and thirdly, what factor influence the effectiveness and contribution of BPHTB in Temanggung Regency. Therefore, my purpose is to analyze the effectiveness of BPHTB revenue collection in Temanggung Regency, measuring the contribution of BPHTB to the total regional tax revenue, identifying the factors that influence the effectiveness and contribution of BPHTB. It is hoped that in the future it will provide benefit, and this benefit is first for students, enhancing knowledge, understanding, and expertise in calculating and analyzing the effectiveness and contribution of land and building right acquisition fee or BPHTB revenue to regional tax revenue. Then, for the Regional Financial and Revenue Management Agency or BPKPD of Temanggung Regency is to reference and source of information on the effectiveness and contribution of the land and building right acquisition fee or BPHTB to regional taxes, which can be used as a basis for consideration in formulating policies to increase BPHTB revenue. Also, Don't forget for Semarang State Polytechnic is hopefully it can be used as an additional information and reference for readers, especially students of the accounting department at Semarang State Polytechnic who will be conducting research on the land and building right acquisition fee or BPHTB. Okay, now I will explain some things about my title. First of all, of course, I will explain about taxes. What is tax? Tax is a mandatory contribution to the state to support expenditure for the welfare of the people. So it can be concluded that there are two functions of tax. The first is for budgetary function. Tax is one of the government sources of revenue to fund its expenditures. The second is a regulated function. It's a tool to regulate or implement government policies in social and economic fields. And this tax has a lot of regulation in the law, because here we are discussing regional taxes. I focus with the law. So, the legal basis governing regional taxes and regional levies has changed 3 times. The first was Law number 34 of 2000. Here BPHTB is still the income of the central government. Therefore, it was refined again through Law number 28 of 2009, because it was felt that the law was still not or was not perfect. So the central government made change through Law number 1 of 2022 concerning financial relations between the central government and regional governments, which has been since January 5, 2022. According to Law number 1 of 2022, regional tax is a mandatory contribution to the regional by individuals or entities coercive in nature without direct compensation aimed at the welfare of the people. This regional tax contains regulations regarding BPHTB. So BPHTB is the on acquisition of land and building rights. It's a tax that must be paid by an individual or legal entity when acquiring ownership right over land or building, whether through sale and purchase, exchange, grant, inheritance, or even court rulings. The taxable objects of BPHTB are not limited to vacant land but also including buildings on it, such as house, buildings, apartment, and so on. So that's a little about the definition to make it easier to understand. Next, here is a way to analyze the effectiveness of BPHTB on regional taxes. The comparison of BPHTB tax realization to BPHTB tax target multiplied by 100%. The following are the criteria of effectiveness. Above 100% is very effective. Then continue with 19% to 100% is effective. 80% to 90% is quite effective. 60% to 80% less effective. And then less than 60% is ineffective. Here is also how to analyze the contribution of BPHTB to regional tax revenue. The method is to compare the realization of BPHTB revenue to the realization of regional tax revenues multiplied by 100%. Here are also the criteria for the percentage result. For 0 to 10% is very poor, 10% to 20% poor, 20% to 30% is moderate, 30% to 40% is quite good, 40% to 50% is good, and above 50% is very good. Next, I will talk about what research methodology I use to analyze my data. Which first, my type of research is using quantitative descriptive approach, which aim to describe existing phenomena systematically in a structured manner and analyze the data obtained numerically to answer research questions. The following is an estimate of my research schedule starting from March to May, so the research will last until the completion of the final chapter is for approximately 3 months. The schedule still doesn't include the revision because the revision schedule is still uncertain, but hopefully it can be completed according to schedule. Okay, then for the data collection technique that I use for the first is to collect secondary data is through first financial report of the Temanggung Regency regional government, and the second is BPHTB receipt data issued by the Temanggung Regency Regional Revenue Agency or Bapenda, and the third regional regulation of perda related to BPHTB and regional taxes. And for primary data was obtained through interview with relevant officials at Bapenda Temanggung Regency and parties involved with the management of BPHTB. For the data analysis technique, I use four approaches. The first is using descriptive analysis. This technique is used to describe in general the receipt of BPHTB and its contribution to regional tax revenue. Then, ratio analysis. To measure the effectiveness and contribution of BPHTB to regional tax revenue, and then I use trend analysis. This technique is to see the development of BPHTB revenues and their contribution to regional tax revenues in recent years. Incidentally, I plan to take the last 5 years of data from 2019 to 2023. And for the last one is regression analysis. The last one is to see the relationship between BPHTB receipts and regional tax revenue in more depth and to test how much influence BPHTB has on regional tax revenue. So all that is the explanation about my final project. Hopefully it can be understood, and if there are any mistakes, please forgive me, and